Hi, this video is on ordering fractions. By the end of this video, you should be able to compare different size fractions as well as have a look at what happens when we have negative fractions and how to compare them. Let's start off with just comparing fractions. Before we begin, it's very important you go and watch the video on common denominators again. If you're very confident, you can continue on with this video, but if you're not, go back and watch it. If you are confident, then you should be okay with working out which one is bigger, 1/8 or 1/4. To do this, we get a common denominator of 8 by multiplying both the numerator and denominator of the quarter by 2. This means that we are going to be comparing 1/8 to 2/8, and it's a lot easier to see that 1/8 is smaller than 2/8. What happens if they're not the same denominator? What if they're the same numerator? Is there a quick and easy way of working out which one is bigger? Well, the one on the left is broken up into 3/4, and the one on the right is broken up into 3/5. And if we look at the pictures, we can compare the two and see that 3/4 is bigger than 3/5. So the slightly bigger denominator meant that it was actually smaller in size. Let's make that even bigger than fifths. Let's make it 15ths. Let's say we have 3/4 and we're comparing it to 3/15. It's really easy to see now that the 3/4 is a lot bigger than the 3/15, meaning that we have the bigger the denominator, the smaller the pieces that they're made up of. So that's a quick and easy way of comparing two fractions that have the same numerator. But what happens now if I don't want to have that drawing? What if I wanted to order three fractions instead of just the two? They need to all have a common denominator. So let's take a look at an example. I want to place in order from smallest to biggest 1/4, 2/5, and 1/3. And I also want to show you how I'm going to do it rather than just putting them into order. So first of all, I need to know what ascending means. Ascending means to go from smallest to biggest, which means that descending means to go from biggest to smallest in the opposite direction. So I want to get the smallest fraction, followed by the next biggest, followed by the next biggest. To do this, I need to work out a common denominator. The way we do that is with the lowest common multiple of both 4, 5, and 3. An easy way to find a common denominator is just to multiply them all together. 4 lots of 5 is 20, times that by 3, and we get 60. So we're going to be converting these fractions into something out of 60. Now with this 1/4, I'm multiplying the 4 by 15 to get 60. So what I'll do is I'll do the same thing to the numerator, and that'll give me an equivalent fraction of 15 over 60. I'm going to do the same thing with my second fraction. I multiply the 5 by 12 to get 60, so I'm going to multiply 2 by 12 to get an equivalent fraction. Finally, 1/3, I multiply the 3 by 20 to get 60, so I'm going to multiply the 1 by 20 to get 20. This gives me 3 equivalent fractions, and now it's a lot easier to compare them. It's easy to see now that the smallest fraction is the 1/4, followed by the 1/3, followed by the 2/5. What happens if we have negative fractions? Well, the rules are reversed for negative fractions, but let's have a look at this number line. This number line shows from 0 to 1 on the right hand side, but then on the left hand side we have all these negative fractions. Each whole number is broken up into quarters, 1/4, 2/4, and 3/4, meaning that all my negative fractions are just negative quarters. I can even have negative mixed numbers if I wanted to. Let's compare negative 1/4 to negative 5/4. Remember, on a number line, anything to the left is smaller than anything to the right, meaning that if we have negative 5/4, it's going to be smaller than negative 1/4. What if I had negative 3/4 comparing it to 1/4? Now we know 3 is bigger than 1, however, because it's a negative 3/4, the negative 3/4 is going to be smaller than the 1/4. So what should you write to get your idea around comparing fractions? Well, it's easiest to compare fractions with common denominators, and we can find those common denominators by multiplying the denominators together like I have in the example on the screen. Pause the video, write it down, and have something to show me for tomorrow. And that's it. Hopefully you can compare different size fractions by finding that common denominator and working it out. I'll see you tomorrow.